Welcome to the Crucible of Truth. Today we rip open the myth of light only and stand naked before the real alchemy, shadow and gold. Subscribe, like, and comment if you are done with illusions. Let's burn pleasantries. Here, I speak directly to your marrow. The myth of purity, of becoming all light by denying your darkness, is a sedative spoon-fed to the docile. Real alchemy is forged where the sharpest pain and your divine essence collide. To touch the Pleroma, the heart's fullness, you must drag your lost parts out into the sun, eyes open, fists clenched. Gnosis isn't a Sunday ritual or some transcendent bypass, it's the fire that devours the false and leaves only the raw diamond. All shadow you refuse to meet becomes the enemy within, gnawing holes in your being. The gold you seek is fused to this darkness, torn from the same root. Integration is crucifixion and resurrection, every day. Those who refuse to integrate become slaves, smiling mannequins in gilded cages. Shadows unintegrated breed internal priests and tyrants, making you blind. True sovereignty is forged in the embrace of your exiled selves. Today, we break open the gates to the Pleroma, not with prayers, but with sword and heart ablaze.
I've tried shadow work but got overwhelmed. Why does it feel so chaotic instead of liberating?
Because you were sold a pacified version of shadow work, one that promises relief without ordeal. The chaos you feel is simply your repressed truths fighting for acknowledgement. The world fears chaos, but it is sacred, the raw birthspace of new order. If you do not meet your shadow with full presence, your unconscious will thrash in rebellion, creating disarray both inside and in your life. The key is to face the turmoil without demanding premature peace. Only when you allow the storm, without flinching, does the real gold surface from the depths.
Am I supposed to accept everything ugly inside me? Won't that make me a worse person, or even evil?
Acceptance is not endorsement, it is ownership. Denied darkness rules you from behind a mask, while conscious ownership liberates. Suppressing your so-called ugliness is the safest way to spawn real evil, the kind that erupts uncontrolled and projects onto others. Integration is the path to discernment. Only by witnessing your inner predator, liar, addict, or coward, can you choose not to let them control the throne. You become worse by rejecting your shadow, not by embracing it. Sovereignty is forged in seeing all facets, then choosing consciously.
What if my shadow contains real harm I've done to others? How do I face that without collapsing into guilt?
Real harm cannot be undone by spiritual bypassing or denial. Integration demands that you stare at your wounds and the wounds you've caused without flinching. Guilt is only useful if it leads to repentance and transformation, otherwise it paralyzes and suffocates. Face your shadow's crimes with absolute presence, then take responsibility through action and repair if possible. Redemption is not achieved by self-flagellation or retreat, but by consciously transforming the lessons of darkness into wisdom. Cowardice is collapse, courage is staying present to all consequence.
Why do you say the gold is fused with the shadow? Aren't there pure parts of us?
Purity is the most seductive lie in the spiritual marketplace. Every trait, gift, or power you possess comes entangled with its shadow. Great love carries the seed of jealousy. Creativity walks hand in hand with madness. Authority easily slides towards tyranny. Your gold is retrieved only by traversing the swamps of your own psyche. The myth of isolated purity breeds hypocrisy and a split soul. Angeliism is not sovereignty, it is a half-lived existence, brittle and hollow.
What's the danger if I keep repressing or denying my shadow?
Denied shadow becomes fate. It dogs your steps as bad luck, sabotaged relationships, compulsions, illness, even accidents. It breeds projection, seeing your denied ugliness in everyone else's face. Entire systems of oppression are built on collective shadow denial. For the individual, you become reactive, manipulable, haunted. The cost is your freedom and authenticity. The reward for honest integration is raw power and lucid seeing.
Are spiritual teachers guilty of bypassing the shadow?
Most are. The market rewards soothing voices, not those who wield the scalpel. Mainstream spirituality peddles transcendence without depth, light without shadow, promise without death. True teachers lead you straight into your guts, stand with you in the hell realm, and won't let you lie to yourself. If your guide never challenges your darkness, they are selling anesthesia, not awakening. Sovereign gnosis is a lonely path, do not expect the crowd to honor it.
At what point do I know I've integrated something, and I'm not just fooling myself?
When a once exiled trait or memory no longer hooks your emotions or dictates your behavior in secret, you've absorbed it. Integration feels like clear-eyed serenity, not neutrality, but fierce responsibility. There is no internal argument, confession, or justification left. You recognize the pattern, claim the lesson, and can choose your response instead of reacting automatically. Self-deception fades and a sovereign calm takes its place.
You talk about the Pleroma. What is it, in real terms, not just abstract Gnostic jargon?
The Pleroma is not a fantasy kingdom but the living fullness of being where nothing is left to exile, no gold is hoarded, no shadow banished. It is the ground of reality where the true and false selves collapse into one. This fullness isn't grandiosity or ego conflation, it is radical presence, nothing left out, nothing amputated. In the Pleroma, you know yourself as both beast and angel, destroyer and creator, breathing the same breath. Real divinity is not divided. If you want truth, you must hold contradictions without splitting.
My religion taught me to suppress my desires and base instincts. Isn't spiritual evolution about rising above them?
That doctrine is poison dressed as virtue. Superego agendas are the oldest cages on the planet. True evolution is not eviction of instinct, but bringing it to light, tempering it with awareness, and wielding it wisely. To suppress desire is to leak it elsewhere as addiction, neurosis, or violence. The mature soul harnesses desire, not by denial, but by conscious engagement, turning animal fire into creative force. Rising above is a myth, integration is descent and ascent coiled into one motion.
Is there a practical way to start integrating instead of just reading about it?
Yes, brutally honest self-inquiry, disciplined shadow tracking, and real-world feedback. Keep a journal, track your compulsions, triggers, fantasies, the things you judge most harshly in others. When emotion spikes, follow it, that is the signal fire for shadow. Seek confrontation with your discomfort, not escape. Mirror work, active imagination, body somatic practices all are useful if you refuse to flinch from what they reveal. Truth lived is messier than truth studied.
I'm afraid my shadow is endless. What if I never finish this work?
Welcome to the human experience. The shadow is bottomless because the psyche is infinite. The fantasy of completion is an ego trap. You harvest fragments of gold throughout life, not some final trophy at the end. The work is not to finish, but to commit, not to conquer, but to integrate continually. Those who wait for arrival never move. Those who walk the path become more whole, more luminous, fracture by fracture.
Can the shadow also be collective? Does society have a shadow?
Absolutely. Every nation, religion, family, and institution operates under the law of shadow and gold. What is repressed in the collective erupts as war, scapegoating, corruption, mass hysteria. Collective shadow work is rare because it threatens group identity and power. Yet without it, societies remain in cycles of violence and denial, like wounded children in giant bodies. Until a critical mass faces what is denied, we are doomed to repeat history's ugliest chapters.
Why is the integration process so painful?
Because your ego is built from avoidance, structured to save you from pain, humiliation, and terror from long ago. To integrate is to dismantle your inner fortress, brick by brick. Your favorite illusions die and with them, pieces of false safety. Pain is the currency of transformation, it is not a mark of failure, but of real alchemical work. If you demand comfort, you will remain half-born, wrapped in grave clothes, calling it maturity.
Some people seem to never do this work, yet live seemingly happy lives. Are they missing anything?
Surface happiness is the cheapest commodity. Most people distract themselves into amnesia, entertainment, consumption, status. Their pain leaks out as cynicism, quiet desperation, or sudden eruptions. What they miss is the holy agony and ecstasy of a unified life, the depth and awe that only integration brings. The cost of bypass is sterility, numbness, and repetition. Real freedom is not the absence of pain but the capacity to transform it.
What role does forgiveness play in this integration?
Forgiveness is not erasure or cheap absolution, it is seeing as is, reclaiming all parts, and setting yourself free from the chains of resentment and self-loathing. True forgiveness is impossible without first facing the rot, the damage, and the lost opportunity. Only after you have called your darkness by name can real release happen. Forgiveness is not a favor to the past, it is a vote for present wholeness. Bypassed, it becomes another anesthetic.
How do I handle the shame that comes up when I face my shadow?
Shame is the lock on your prison gate and your instructions for opening it. When shame shows up, stare at what you most want to hide and refuse to turn away. Speak your truths aloud, even if only to yourself, until the spell of secrecy is broken. Shame weaponizes your shadow, keeping it in darkness. Once the secret is dragged into the light, shame burns away and only knowledge remains. Exile maintained is shame perpetuated.
What about the golden shadow I've read about?
The golden shadow is your disowned brilliance, your raw creative force, luminous power, or capacity for ecstasy and love, projected onto others because you fear its magnitude. Just as you hide your monsters, you exile your gifts. Integration means reclaiming both. The gold frightens as much as the dirt, because to embody your fullness is to shatter your small self-images. Jealousy, idealization, and hero worship are signals your gold cries out for reclamation.
Isn't it dangerous to embrace anger, rage, or hatred? Couldn't that destroy me or others?
Suppressed anger is the true danger, it seeps out as passive aggression, disease, or random explosiveness. Owned anger becomes fuel, unowned, it festers or erupts. Integration is not indulgence, it is discipline, admitting you feel these fires and then shaping them creatively, consciously, responsibly. Destructive force denied will control you from the shadows. Embraced, it becomes your boundary, your courage, your engine for change.
How do boundaries fit into integration?
Authentic boundaries are born from knowing both your vulnerability and your power. If you do not own your shadow, your boundaries are either porous, rigid, or manipulative. Integration lets you say yes and no from the heart, not from fear or people-pleasing. Boundaries are not fences but living membranes, they protect your gold and give process to your darkness. Without them, sovereignty is a fantasy.
Do substances or psychedelics help with shadow work and integration?
They can open the cellar doors, but the real work is what you do sober, in the cold light of reality. Psychedelics can shatter the facade and reveal the raw architecture of your psyche, but without the courage to integrate what they show, it's just spectacular escapism. Many seek peak experiences to avoid the slow, agonizing labor of daily integration. In the end, gnosis is won with sweat and tears, not with shortcuts.
What about trauma? Doesn't shadow work re-traumatize me?
If undertaken recklessly or without support, yes. Integration is not masochism or reliving your wounds for the thrill of pain. Trauma requires skillful presence, sometimes titration, sometimes bold confrontation, always respect for your nervous system. The point is not to drown in the abyss, but to become its lucid swimmer. If you lack internal or external support, seek it. Integration is not about heroic isolation, but about building the inner strength to witness all parts without fragmenting.
Why do I keep meeting the same challenges or lessons again and again, in different forms?
Because denied shadow and exiled gold loop back until you face, claim, and integrate them. The world is your living mirror. Every repetition is an invitation to wholeness you have yet to answer. Fate is simply shadow unclaimed, echoing in circumstance. Blaming the universe is a cop-out. Instead, treat every recurrence as the messenger you've ignored. Only when you accept the lesson, harvest the gold, and allow your darkness a voice within, not dominion, does the pattern dissolve.
How do I know I'm not just wallowing or victimizing myself in the name of shadow work?
Wallowing is indulgence without responsibility. True integration demands you move from witnessing to owning and acting. If your exploration leaves you feeling more lost, fragile, or self-identified as a victim, you are stuck in the swamp. Shadow work is not endless confession or self-pity, it is transmutation. If you are not harvesting wisdom, reclaiming power, or altering your behavior over time, you are spinning in a trauma loop. Responsibility is the compass point, use it.
Once I start integrating, do I lose parts of myself?
You lose nothing essential. Instead, you shed false armor, lies, and inherited voices. Integration is not erasure, it is homecoming. The prodigal parts return, reshaped, to the seat of your sovereignty. What dies is your addiction to comfort and pretending. What lives is the paradox of being both more yourself and more whole than ever before. Integration is creative destruction, compost for your rebirth.
Final question: what is the deepest reward of choosing this difficult path?
The deepest reward is freedom, raw, unsanitized, ecstatic. Freedom to choose, to respond, to love with eyes wide open, no longer shackled by inner wars. You reclaim your essential self, not as fantasy, but as a sovereign field, alive with shadow and gold, heart and blade. Real integration births compassion armed with discernment, joy untouched by naivety, power purified by heartbreak. To walk this path is to become undivided, to taste the full Pleroma with every cell. My one practical prescription each day: seek out the emotion, compulsion, or trigger you most want to deny. Sit. Witness. Name it. Make art, or move your body with it. Do not look away. The doorway is there. Subscribe, like, and drop your rawest question in the comments. If you're done with illusions, join me in the fire.